Dear Lord, thank you for every single day. It's a blessing. And I know I always ask, but I probably will continue to ask. Please let people get something out of this, and let them get closer to you, Lord. Thank you for all the opportunities you give us to grow closer to you. I can recall several in the last couple of weeks, and I'm so grateful for all those opportunities that you give me and my friends and family. Easter is upon us. Let us not forget. Let us spread the word, Lord, of your Son's sacrifice, your sacrifice of your Son. And in his name, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Welcome back. What is up, guys? Here we are at the Skeptics Podcast.
Yup.
We start every podcast with how I'm doing, but today I'm kicking it off. So let me ask you, Dylan, how are you doing?
Brother, I'm doing good. I can't complain.
Come on.
I had great conversation with the boys after work.
Yes.
I said I actually got a project at work that is actually kind of interesting, finally.
Oh.
It's kind of interesting. But other than that, dude, I've been doing freaking great.
Awesome.
I said we had the guys go watch the last season of The Chosen.
Yeah.
Had great conversations about it. Everything's going good right now. It's sunny outside.
Yes.
It's not hot as balls.
Yeah.
We're good. We're good.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Speaking on that, I've got a couple of things in mind since we do a little bit of the religious spiritual aspect. We like to keep that in mind. And so I want to play a little bit of that in today, as well as just something we were talking about earlier. And I think it's crucial maybe for other people. And leading into kind of like, what we call the podcast, you can be skeptical about everything we say to a certain degree. But this I find to be very certain on. Having people who you can discuss anything with. There's certain things that I've never really talked about with my family, as far as just like stuff that goes on in life. Nothing crazy. We're not even talking about nothing crazy, but just like stuff that happens in life. And we've never really had those conversations. Also, quick note, me and him both have sinus stuff going on, so that's why I sound real weird right now.
For sure. I was listening to it, I was like, John's voice sounds different right now, but I'm sure mine does too.
It's killing me. I'm just now coming off of like a 6-day where I sounded like this the whole time. So I apologize.
Yeah, our sinuses were so messed up in the movie, we couldn't have cried if we wanted to. I'm over here trying to. I'm over here. Learned this trick to where I'm supposed to push your cheeks up and pull them open for your sinuses to come out.
Yeah.
But as you can tell, my eyes just start watering. It doesn't fix anything.
Yeah.
So
I went to a concert, couldn't even sing along. So
yeah,
fantastic. But going along with that, I've heard a lot of people call a lot of different things. They tell you to go out there and find your tribe, find your friend group, find your whatever. Like, they've a ton of names for it. But I would just say find somebody who you can discuss things with openly. Whether it's more of like an intimate thing about you and your partner, or maybe you don't have experience in that field and you can open up to them about that. That is such a crucial part of being alive, being a human. And there's other people who've gone through it or are going through it, and they know. And so what's your take on that? How do you feel about having people who you can openly express yourself and talk to freely without having to like hold back?
So whether you like people or not, one thing people were made for is connections.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about it multiple times. The one guy that says he wants to be left out in the woods by himself forever.
Yeah.
Eventually, you will. I mean, we've read about that one guy that essentially died of sadness.
Yeah.
And like depression or whatever you want to call it. So I think humans, like, they crave that.
Yeah.
You may not think you do.
Yeah.
But after a little while, I think you would really end up picking up on some things that would definitely probably be fixed if it was that. And I'm going all the way being fixed.
Right,
now, and obviously work on yourself and all those different pieces. But yeah, like if I didn't have you guys, if I didn't have Connor, if I didn't have Boss, Lee, Cody, all three Codys. I got all kind of Codys in my life for whatever reason. But, yeah, those moments make your day completely better.
Yeah.
And there's obviously other moments that you can have with, say, a romantic partner that can do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But there is nothing better than getting to sit down with people, like you said, and you can be able to talk about anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And we were like, this morning we were talking about Judas.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what ways was the Bible interpreted for people to get different opinions, because there's some people that believe that he hung himself, and there's some people that believe he hung himself and he didn't die, and then somebody else might have killed him. I mean, there's all kind of different
there's
things.
a lot of different interpretations.
And I think every one of us had kind of maybe a little bit different thing, but we could all sit there and have the conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end of the conversation, none of us probably changed our mind. We're all like, we're still setting the thing, but us being able to sit there, because those little pieces right there might be just enough to where it can put pieces into places where it could develop your mind. I don't want to say fully change your mind, but if you're always willing to learn, I don't really know if it ever does a complete 180 change.
Yeah.
It just builds on top of things that you maybe build down.
Yeah.
There are some times where you've told me stuff where I've thought I've known it, and I've had to take a step back, go in the reverse, start back at the bottom, learn this, and then I can get back up to the point and I can be like, oh, John was right. Or I still don't think John was right.
Yeah.
It could be like that. So, yeah, it makes my day better.
Oh, yeah.
The whole day could suck, but moments like we just had at work, it makes the day way better.
100%. I 100% agree. And talking about, like, with Judas and stuff, I was glad to see Tim. I don't know what his real name is. Timmy?
Tim?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was glad to see him come to the Chosen with us.
Yeah.
That was really cool, I thought. And I really enjoyed that he showed up all 3 times.
Yeah.
So
he was the one besides me and you that was the most active on the thing.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, hey, when are we going to see this next one?
Yeah.
I mean, is this going to be Friday at 3 o'clock, Saturday at 4 o'clock, or Sunday at 6:30?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the coolest thing ever.
I was so glad. And like on the third one, when he showed up, I was just so glad to see him come back. Because at first, when I just seen Derek in the parking lot, I was like, oh. And I knew Boss and Christina wasn't going to be able to make it. I thought, man. I'm like, just 3 of us? Like, we started out with like 7 or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was 9.
9, yeah. I was like, down to 3. I'm like, ugh. But then I seen Tim, and I was like, hey, got 4.
Yeah.
So, it's a little less than half if we had 9 technically. But still, I was really glad to see. We have kind of a decent little group.
Yeah,
and I was glad to see him coming along with us, because no matter how anybody feels about anybody else.
Right.
The significance of coming to that and the not just the show itself, but what it means to have a group of guys.
Right. That's what that's the craziest thing to me. It's like when we walk in or walk out as a group, it's like you feel like you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're going in, this is to a Jesus thing. So it's like, I'm unstoppable with the Lord on my back. It's not like we're going in a basketball game right now. But yeah, I understand completely.
Well, like where I feel different is like, remember when we went to watch Homestead?
Oh yeah.
It was a good show, good movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but I didn't leave feeling like, man, that meant something.
Right.
When I leave with the group from that, I'm like, that meant something, and that we got more people to go than just me and you means something. And I got to give more credit to you for pushing, I think, like pushing the message out. Like, hey, y'all come watch this. Like, good on you for
Hey, dude, it was this guy. Sponsored. Jesus Christ. I mean, he was – I don't know. Like I said, I love movies in general.
Yeah.
We've talked about this multiple times.
Yeah.
But this one, I was like literally thinking, I want my team with me.
Yeah.
Like, I want as many people that will go to this thing as possible.
For sure.
And that first episode kind of got funky, even though everybody cash at me.
Yeah.
Because I ended up, it's $15 a person now, or $16 a person to go in here. We had 9 people, and I bought all the tickets off the dome.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the friends. They all paid me back. Everything was good. But that initial, let's get 9 tickets here, or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah, that's a receipt right there.
That's
buddy.
a receipt.
Golly.
And then we had Cammie.
Yeah.
Her friend Elizabeth. I think those were the only 2 that came in late on the first one. So I had to rip the tickets, go out to Timmy's car, and put them in the gas tank lid, hoping that they would find them, even though I texted them. So, but yeah, dude, that will, because I'll tell you a reason why I think it gets to me so much is because if I was a little kid and I went to that thing, and I turned around and saw a team like that behind it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I would be striving for after that. I said, I want people like that.
Yeah.
Because not only is this a significance to us because it's a Christian-based show, but even more on that reason, every one of them people sitting there, all of us is like, we would go to war for every single person in this chair. Every single. And another cool thing is kind of like that to the whole audience.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just because we're all in the same mindset about the thing, but that's why it made me so happy when we walked in and the first one was packed.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. And I was like, and no, I got everybody's seats right there.
Yeah.
I was like, some people call it luck. I call it faith in the big man. And we made every one of those available. Down to the very last one. Like, I think picking Macy's ticket was the last one, and there was one chair left.
Nice.
And it was right there. And I was like, that's it, dude. So, yeah, I'm with you 100%.
That's so awesome. And I'm trying to cultivate more ways to get my people involved, as well as other people. And I've noticed there's like a happiness whenever I've been spreading that we are going to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that, and it's not. I'm trying to find the right way to say this, because I feel pride. Like, I'm proud that we're going as a crew.
Yeah.
But I'm not in the sense of like I'm better than anybody else. But I'm just glad to see my friends, my people, my crew, who I'm dealing with week in and week out, with me there, and that I'm with them there, and we're coming together for something that's a little bit bigger, than us. Sure. You know what I mean? And I think it's helped open my thoughts and ideas to build upon that ideology within my own crew. And like, I ran into an old friend, and he's like, "Hey, what are y'all here to see?" "Oh, we're here to see The Chosen." "Man, I really don't know what that is." What is it?" "Oh, it's about Jesus. You ought to check it out." Just planting that little seed, that little idea. That's awesome. Yeah. Or like, I was having lunch with my cousin. They're like, "Hey, what y'all's plans for the weekend?" "Oh, tomorrow I'm going to the movies." "Oh, cool. What are you going to go see?" "Oh, I'm going to watch The Chosen." "Well, what's that?" "Oh, it's about Jesus." "Oh, that sounds cool." Yeah, it is cool. That little thing. And who knows? Maybe they watch it, maybe they don't. And there's been other people in my crew who I've talked about the Chosen several times with them. And I can feel we're getting closer to them watching it. And so that's just so hype for me. Yeah. Knowing that, like, as well as like my family. We were talking about TV the other day. And I'm very critical of media right now and what we're pumping out. Especially, there's a clip I sent to Connor. He was skeptical of this. It was Neil deGrasse Tyson talking to Theo Vaughn, of all people. Mm-hmm. And he said, between 1939 and 1945, during the World War, 1,000 people died an hour every year between those years. Think about that. Mm-hmm. Okay? And think about how much people worried about how dangerous it was in America. Not much, really. For the past 30 years, 27 of those, crime rate has dropped, actually. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. And the media has been pushing more violence, and it's more accessible, right? As well as, I just think, negative content in general. There's more vulgar language. There's more sexual situations. There's more violent situations in TV and movies than there's ever been. And to go along with that, there's more crime on the news. And so just because we're being fed more bad stuff, people live in that headspace more. But there's less people dying.
Oh, yeah, I know.
There's less murders going on and deaths in general, and less major wars and conflicts. Think about 1,000 people dying an hour. That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
That's an insane number. So, like, that kind of thing puts into perspective a little bit, on top of the fact that, like, how much the media pushes negative stuff. And, like, I was thinking about the other day, all right, I ain't going to put nobody on blast. I know you hate that, but I don't think it's good to call them out in this particular instance. But I went somewhere, and instantly it's news talk. And it's all the negative stuff they say in the news. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I don't even care.
Right.
I'm like, I don't even care. I'm like, I'm so tired of hearing about this. Just pure negativity. So that show, and there's apps and there's other stuff like it, and there's more. The director or producer, he comes on before the movie started.
Are you asking his name?
Yeah, what's his name?
Dallas Jenkins.
Dallas Jenkins.
Yeah.
Thank you. He is working on more productions now of more good content.
Yeah.
That and I think you said this, it doesn't matter what faith you're coming from. People have agreed that The Chosen is period correct.
Yeah.
Even if you're not Team Jesus.
Yeah.
That's how I'll say it. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It's still a good show,
Yes.
even if you're not about that.
Correct.
Like, if you're of the Jewish faith, because
Right.
I know that is in the show as well.
Right.
And so I think that's awesome. That's something with a little bit more positive message without all this vulgar content
Right.
that you could watch. Like, I would have no problem sitting down and putting that on, even in the background, whenever I've got my nephew around.
For sure.
I don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, what are they going to say because he's starting to learn words.
Yeah.
What is he going to hear that he's going to say? Shalom?
Yeah.
I'll teach him that one.
Yeah.
So I think that's such a good thing right now, when there is so much like negative being pushed. And I think the feeling people could get from coming together for a good cause to watch good content, even if it's not that. I know there is other good content out there. That just happens to be what I'm into.
Yeah.
So as far as like media goes and good content being pushed, I'm glad to see there's kind of a shift right now, I feel like. And I'm even seeing it on our devices.
Yeah.
And like, you taught me that there's like a way on like Instagram for any of our listeners out there. Like, if you're getting content on your suggested, unless it's on the home page, but if it's under like the search tab, you can tell I'm not interested.
Yep.
And you can get rid of a lot of that and get better content being fed to you to help the algorithm help you, get you out of these bad cycles. That's like Connor told me. He had to get rid of TikTok. Mm-hmm. He was watching so much doom and legitimate like doom content, doom scrolling.
Oh, yeah.
That like he was like getting prepared to be invaded.
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious, Doug. I remember him coming to me and was like, dude, he's like, I know you're way more in the prepper space than I am.
Right.
What kind of food can I buy?
No, you're right.
How long will water last? And I think those are good questions to ask, but I don't think you should ask them out of fear. I think you should ask them out of preparation.
Yep.
But he's coming to me out of fear. He was like, dude, I had a nightmare that China was freaking invading us. And I'm like, dude, you have to quit watching that.
Yeah.
Especially before bed. That's a whole different rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
But
you're hitting key points right now, because
yeah, go ahead.
Don't let me. No, you're good. No, you're good, because I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying right here, and I've realized this for a while, but just to kind of put it out there, if somebody's not understanding it the way John Boy's breaking it down.
Yeah.
And maybe this kind of hints into my little bit of conspiracy side.
Yeah.
But I don't even think it's a conspiracy at this point. I think it's actually true.
Yeah.
Negative stuff is just proven to get more eyeballs because more people do stuff out of fear than they do preparation. Just like you're saying.
For a fact.
So that's 1,000% true. And the more stuff you consume negatively,
yes.
Look at yourself. What kind of state does it put you in?
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, if you do not understand this, and we could look back to like World War I in this thing.
Yeah.
When you want to be brainwashed or any of those,
yep.
It is bringing you down so low to a level. You are brought there before anything is happening.
Yeah.
So I actually think the depression, everything, I think it is meant to bring your level down because you're easier to control. Mm-hmm. Now, you can go as far as that as you want.
Right.
With whatever.
You can take it as far or as little.
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can see it in my own kind of situation because let's look at this podcast.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about politics stuff in a while.
Yeah.
And some people could say, oh, well, it's just you guys aren't staying as up to date or anything. Ask this dude how up to date I stay on this stuff.
He stays pretty up to date.
But there's nothing that is vulgar that I feel that we need to address, which is a good thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and let me add into a little bit about that because I hear so much hate from both sides right now.
Oh yeah,
I'm
sure.
not kidding, both
for
sides
sure.
because I've got people all across the spectrum that I interact with.
Yep.
And I mean, the spectrum is in like left, right, and middle.
Yep. Sorry, that's my shoe.
Okay, I had to make sure it wasn't a rat.
No. That would be wild.
Yeah.
Pull a rat out of the pod.
That would be funny. But dealing with both ends of the spectrum as well as people in the middle, all the way across the board, I find it interesting because we did cover something just a few episodes ago where talking about Elon Musk and like how much power and authority he has and how people don't like that, and then some people do. And some people don't like that he was appointed, not elected. And like there's a lot that I could dig into as far as the politics on that I've heard about, but right now they're just recycling that. I haven't heard anything new in like a week.
Right.
They're recycling that same stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, Elon Musk this, Elon Musk that. They're just recycling it. The same thing with Trump right now.
Because
and so like sure, whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter whether I agree or disagree. If all we're doing is recycling that in a hateful tone or in an uplifting tone, depending on what side of the spectrum we're on, it's like I'm to the point now where I'm over it.
Yeah.
Especially for both sides of the spectrum that want to throw hate. Like the people who want to throw hate one way and the people who want to throw it the other way.
Right.
I'm like, we're not getting anywhere.
No, not at
I'm
all.
literally in a circle right now. Can we break out of that?
Yeah.
Can we get some traction?
When
So-
it's funny because when the news is good,
Yeah.
nobody watches it.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anything to worry about.
Nope.
And for news, especially the legacy news,
Oh, yeah.
for them to survive, they need views.
100%.
So their business model is
Yeah.
find as many bad things happening, or to some degree, make them up, and then we'll just try to accumulate some kind of views.
Do you know what TMZ is?
Old school.
Old school. It reminds me of like World Star Hip Hop.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're pretty much trying to find ways to trash
Yeah.
like celebrities
Right.
and stuff like that. That's what mainstream's become to me.
Brother, you're 1,000%
Whether
right.
you're NBC or whether you're ABC or whether you're
Fox News,
CNN.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's TMZ, but for politics, man.
Yeah.
They're like, today Donald Trump did XYZ. Today Elon Musk. Today Kamala Harris. Today what's the guy in California?
Gavin Newsom.
Today Gavin Newsom. Like it's like, bro, could you give me something new, please?
Yeah.
My goodness. Like we already know. They're up to something that you can't stand.
And
Congratulations.
What's so funny about it is, like, even those guys, all the names we just said,
Yeah.
they don't even want to be a part of it anymore. It's
No.
like Newsom started his own podcast out there. Kamala didn't start one, but Michelle Obama started one.
Yep.
And I mean, they're just like, this does nothing on both sides. Like,
Dude.
Nobody watches Fox News and there's like, say a good thing happens and they're like, yeah, I'm voting for Trump for that reason. Nobody does that.
Think about this. It's even deeper than that, man. They're going on podcasts with comedians instead of doing big-time interviews now with those companies because it's so washed out.
Yep.
As well as, like, the only reason why they use those is for debates. Like, every one of those covers the debates that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's funny? Watch any one of them side by side. Like find two that are polar opposites. Like, find the polar opposite of Fox and put them side by side after a debate and listen to what they're saying.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's the same thing, but about the other side.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They had nothing to stand on. They were running the whole time. And so, and I'm not trying to go down, on the whole politics rabbit hole, but this is just where we happen to be going, or like taking the conversation. But I find it interesting. Like, J.D. Vance going on Theo Vaughn's podcast.
Yeah.
Donald Trump going on J.D. Theo Vaughn, I almost said J.D. Vance twice. Or going on Rogan. Like, because you can get your message out more because they're willing to actually have a conversation.
That's right.
It's not being attacked or being praised the whole time. Like, you don't go on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's like, oh, you're my favorite of all time. I love you. I love everything you've done. You're the best, blah, 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 blah. And he's not also going on there and being like, here's what you did bad. Here's this, here's that, here's this, here's that. You're the worst we've ever had. He's like, hey, let's sit down, let's talk.
Then the coolest thing about podcasts, I think, because I am one of those guys at a certain point where I think you need to point fingers at people. Because there's people do need to be held accountable.
Well, and I think they do that on those, but it's not like that's their only goal.
Well, not only that, I have no problem with anybody ever pointing fingers at anybody. But the cool thing about podcasts are the other person now can rebuttal that.
Oh, they can back it up.
Because if I point fingers about you on Fox News is not going to your house and trying to get your opinion. they're gonna listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, throw it up there, and then we'll reap the repercussions after that.
Yeah.
If your lawyer calls them, hey, that's more stuff that they're instantly getting content and stuff like that.
For sure.
If you call me out on something on this podcast right here, now I have time to sit there and tell you why I did or I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it should be, because there is people out there also to where, they'll be like, well, if you did something I don't agree with, they're like, Dylan, why didn't you jump on John's butt about whatever it is?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if John was wrong and or if John was lying to me or whatever like that, then he's making himself look like a fool. I'm not doing anything.
Right.
I'm just asking questions. And it was, I mean, that's a kind of a little low jab at things, but like in a good way, because in the end, I'm not personally there to hurt you.
Yeah.
I have a question about something that you did or whoever the guest was or whatever, and now you can give me that rebuttal. And whether we're in a podcast, so I'm going to take your word for it unless I have some kind of facts that I can ask you about it or anything like that. But the goal is to make you look like a fool. The goal is for you to say something and then you look like a fool.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about podcasts, is because you get to see that happen, and then you get to see the people that stood their ground and was like, yeah, I did that. I don't think there's anything bad about it.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that we need to see versus just one side on the media.
Yeah, for a fact. And man, it's easy to go down that rabbit hole.
Easy.
It's too easy. I seen something, speaking about media and all of that, I seen a post the other day about Origin. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's an American-made clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit of a fan because Jocko's a co-owner. Jocko Willink is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL. I think that sums it up pretty good. It was started by a guy named Pete. You can look him up. He's awesome. But I'm big into their clothes, obviously.
Right.
I rock them pretty much as I can. Super comfortable, blah, 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 blah. I'm not trying to plug them. That's just my opinion. But I follow them on Instagram. And they made a post here a while back. I can't believe I haven't showed it to you. And then there's Chinese propaganda on the top half of the screen. And there's the facts down below it. And what it was doing is it showed a video, and it said, "This is American manufacturing." And it showed a bunch of like, they looked AI generated, but it looked like a bunch of overweight American people, men and women, sewing product together on hand sewing stuff together like this, right? It was in black and white scale to make it look more sad. They looked depressed on their faces, like they look sad to be working there. So now they're overweight, they're sad, they make it look more depressing.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're just slaving away in there. They look like they've been working for, 12-hour shifts with,
No AC.
With no AC, 30-minute break, maybe. Like, they really make it look bad. And below it, it literally shows a video of Origin's factory, okay? And everybody is happy to be at work. They're healthy, average Americans. I say healthy. There's all walks of life, just like there is in America.
Right.
There's every kind of person imaginable. And they're in there, and they're not just making one product looking sad. There's people making all kind of products that they make at that company, and they're glad to be working and making stuff in America.
Right.
It's not like, oh, we get to work here in America. This is terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, and now I'm not going to say every person in the video is smiling. They're not. I mean, it is work to a certain degree.
Right.
You have a job to do, and not everybody's going to love their job every day, even if you do like your job. That's part of having a job. But to that degree, it's a polar opposite of what this Chinese propaganda is pushing. And so my curiosity is, who are they pushing that to? Who is China pumping that content to? Is it Americans? Now, obviously, I'm not going to see that based on the stuff that I like. Like, that's going to be hard for them to get that to me as the end user. But what if you are an American who's on the fence about what you think about our country? Can that get its way to you? Or is this something that they're pushing out to other countries? Pushing out to the people who live in China, pushing out to the people who live in the surrounding areas? I want to know who's seeing that propaganda, because that's crazy. And that's I've talked to Sam about this a little bit. Just the information wars, the stuff that you see all the time, where people will blatantly come out and make a post on Facebook, and it's obvious to be like, that's a crazy statement.
Right.
But people believe it because they read it at face value, and then they scroll.
That's it, yeah.
They don't do any research. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody would do that. Next.
Yeah.
Really.
And then they'll tell Richard about it in about an hour.
And it's like, you're spreading misinformation so easy. And I'm not to say that I don't do the same thing or you don't do the same thing.
Right.
It gets us.
Yeah.
Whether you want to admit it or not. That's the argument me and Connor have. Connor's like, no, I don't do that. Buddy, me and you both have definitely done that.
Right.
But there's a point where you can't avoid it sometimes.
No, and I think, would you say it was Connor that deleted TikTok?
Yes.
My cousin Jake, he don't have TikTok or he don't have Instagram or any of that stuff, and I can just imagine how like more simple your life would think, and not only that, you're not getting brainwashed in the way, essentially, kind of like what you were talking about with the Origin thing. Because if you've never thought about how great a country the United States is, and you see that, you would think it's true.
Yeah,
you'd be like, yeah. I mean, we got sweatshops here. I've never seen one.
No,
but I mean, they see that and they instantly think that.
I mean, we have some hard jobs here,
right?
But you're not forced to work there.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Go work at a place like Origins.
Yeah.
In the United States, and then go work to like a Versus company in China.
Yeah.
And then tell me after that which one you feel like a number at.
Yeah.
And we'll just I would bet the one that you'd feel like a number would be the one in China.
For sure.
So just because they just have a mass production of everything, and it's just how fast can I get anything out of the door?
Well, imagine you're sitting in there making iPhones. You're in the line.
Right.
You're the guy who puts iPhones together. They don't care.
No, not
they
at
don't
all.
care whether you eat, you sleep, you live, you die. They'll replace you.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay you like I've seen some of this content.
Yeah.
I remember when it come out. It's probably been years ago. I may have talked about this once on here. But I remember seeing somebody like tour a factory over there. Mm-hmm. They had concrete bunk beds.
I believe it.
Built into this building. They were just concrete, like I think it was 2 or 3 high. and they just had like a blanket and another blanket and a pillow. You just laid on a blanket on concrete with a blanket on top of you.
Right.
And like that was your housing because you couldn't afford to live anywhere else because they paid you so little.
I'm at the opinion, and I'm not even at the opinion of this in a bad way.
Yeah.
Is if you don't like America, go try somewhere different.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to leave forever, because we all make mistakes sometimes.
You know, that's a good point. Just travel.
But just try something else.
Yeah, travel
because
there.
If you do like it, then you might have found your home.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, if you love it there.
Yeah.
Then if your life gets better.
Yeah.
Then there's nothing bad to say.
Right.
How could you complain if your life got better from moving?
Right.
If you're like, you know what? I think I'll do better living in Italy.
Yeah.
And then you get there and it is better.
That's it. It's like,
congratulations.
I listened to a guy today. I watched a podcast, or not a podcast, a vlog with him, but he lives in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I know everybody out there is going to say it's a different kind of place because you got to be rich and all that, and most that's probably true. But don't matter how much money you have, if you enjoy being at the place, then you could go live there.
Yeah. What's
It's
it matter?
Yeah.
If you're
what's it
happy,
matter?
what does it matter?
Right.
And you know what? Because here, I can already hear it. The rebuttal, I think most people who would rebuttal that would be the people who would be upset that they're not the ones doing it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like if you've seen somebody who you went to school with and they're like, you know what? I just don't think Arkansas is for me. I'm moving to Germany. And they move to Germany, and in a year's time, you see their posts, and they're like, dude, this is the best decision I ever made. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I love everything about this place.
Yep.
And they end up having a little family, or maybe they don't, but whatever. They live their best life. And you're like, disgusting.
Yep.
They left America.
Right.
Why are you sitting there hating?
Yeah.
If they're living their best life,
Right.
it doesn't affect you at all.
Yeah. Because look at the other side.
Yeah.
They're here and they're telling everybody how much America sucks.
Yeah, how much they hate it.
Yeah.
My life's the worst because I live in America.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's funny because things do slowly change over time. The more you understand everything, it changes. Because I remember when I was in high school, my goal was like move to Florida because I love the beach. I still love the beach.
Yeah.
That's like my second whole heart. But the friendships I've developed here, the job that I have here, the beautiful wife that I've found here, Arkansas is pretty dang good. And we can get suppressors. I mean, it's obviously I still love Florida.
Yeah.
I said, but over time I've realized, hey, this is my home.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where I got everything that means the world to me. Now, if you're somebody that doesn't, now's your chance to go find it.
Yeah, and I think you just have to weigh out your options. Yeah. Like, I want to learn how to surf so bad. Like, that's one of the things that's on my list. And I even contemplated taking some of my vacation time this year to travel somewhere where they had good surfing and learn how to surf. Now, obviously, I want to make it a cool destination as well. But with all that being said, I was really thinking on it, like, man, moving to the coast somewhere, and what would that be cool, and this and that. And then I thought about all the states. What are their laws? What are their rules and regulations versus what I have now?
Yep.
Because the way I'm living now, I like, and I just know a lot about where I'm at. And so, like, I thought about another country altogether. Like, what would it be like to move just for a few years?
Yeah.
You know? And then what if, and you ask yourself all these what ifs, like, what if you found somebody down there? And what if y'all moved back here? What if you stayed? Mm-hmm. How different would your life be? But what are the things that you like that you don't really want to compromise on? Well, dog, I love firearms.
Yeah.
I love them. I mean, that's just something I'm really passionate about. And it's getting deep right now. I've listened to more content about one caliber in the past week than probably most people will ever think about in their lifetime. One specific caliber.
Right.
And so I'm deep diving on some stuff right now because I really nerd out about it. And I thought, I don't think I could full-time live somewhere where that couldn't be something I could enjoy.
Right.
Because that is something that brings me a level of enjoyment.
Yeah.
More than surfing would.
Oh, yeah.
By a long shot. And so as cool as surfing sounds, as cool as living on the coast sounds and being like a beach dude and like a bro, there's another aspect I thought about, like my friends.
Yeah.
And what that means in my family. And it's something me and you've talked about, and I've talked about it extensively with you in particular, about who and or what would make me move. Not like, hey, I think this would be fun to try. What's something that, like, for a fact, I'd be like, you know what? I'd be willing to move for that.
Right.
And once you sit down and really narrow it down, it gets pretty easy, I think, to decide, you know what? This is what I like. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to be around. I'm not moving.
Yeah. It's easy. It's easy for the ones that have faith in something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people's biggest thing is what's it going to look like financial wise for me to do this thing. So and I'm not saying like when I say have faith, I don't mean like you have to have a lot of money. I just mean you have to have a hope that it's going to work out in some way.
I say take it even beyond that, because if you don't have the things around you keeping you somewhere, like if you wake up and you're working at Walmart pushing carts, and you're 22, let's say, and you say to yourself, I never see my family. We're not that close. I don't care if we're close. I think I want to live in, I don't even care. Let's say I want to move to Montana and I'm going to be a cowboy.
Yeah.
If I think if you believe that, like, internally, you can't just say it and be like, man, that would be cool. I think if you genuinely feel that, like if you're genuine about it and you're serious, if you pour everything into it, it'll work out for you somehow, some way. If you trust the process, you may not be a cowboy. You may get up there and be like, oh, dude, I've been working on fence for 6 months. I've been out here working for different ranchers, and they're just like, yeah, all I got right now, I need a guy who can help fix fence.
Yeah.
Or I need a guy who can help, clean poop.
Right.
It may be the worst job ever, and you're like, heck no. But then out of that, you run into a guy, and he's like, dude, you know what I need? I need a guy who's going to be a roadie. You run into a guy who's on tour, and he's like, I need a guy who's going to help move all my guitars and speakers and set up the drums. You're like, okay, I'm not attached to this place.
Right.
Take off, man. Live your best life. But if it's the opposite, if the things that you love are your family and you got people you're spending time with and that's what matters to you, then do that. Whatever you believe. And I want to say it like this, in your heart, okay? Maybe you're not spiritual, okay? Maybe you don't feel moved by the Lord or by Buddha or by whatever. Maybe you feel it just in your heart, though. I do feel like you have to have a connection to it. To go do something, if you feel strong enough about that, and that's what matters to you the most, then do it. And don't let nothing stop you. Don't let the fear of the media.
Yeah.
If you feel moved to go, like you need to go to California, don't let the media tell you it's a bad place. Go out there and make California the best for you.
Well, you got to think about anybody that was like really great, especially in California.
Yeah.
A lot of them people, you have to understand, and I think that feeds into what you're saying. If you really do want something, then you know it and you're willing to go through it. But you have to understand that there will be hard times. Like you
for
have
a
to.
Fact.
You may have to live in your car for a month.
Yeah.
I mean you there's and that's scary. I mean that's full blown scary. I mean unless you go into it prepared.
I got a guy who gave an example. I didn't know Jocko's from Maine originally, but he decided that he wanted to sign up to do cool stuff for the military, right? And he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. I said that in my Jocko voice. And but he also wanted to surf and stuff like that. He said, or he wanted to join the military, I should say. I don't know if he exactly wanted to be a Navy SEAL, but then he heard that the Navy SEALs, guess where they get trained up and stationed?
By the water.
By the water.
Yep.
He said, perfect. That's what I'm going to go do. And it wasn't easy. I heard him talk about it the other day on a podcast. They lived in a tiny house that was all they could afford. And he and his wife had a bed in the living room. They didn't even have their own bedroom.
Yeah.
And they all had to share one bathroom, him and his children. They had to give up all the other rooms so that their kids could have rooms, and they slept on, I think, a mattress on the floor potentially. Don't quote me on that. But he slept in the living room.
No.
Because they didn't have anywhere else to put a bed in the house.
Yeah,
and guess what? That's a sacrifice he had to make until they could do better.
Because you got to understand, I mean, even that's a luxury to some people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want something bad enough.
Yes.
I mean, let's just look at Jesus and his disciples, for instance.
Yeah.
That last episode that we saw in The Chosen.
Yes.
Thaddeus and Jesus are sitting there talking with each other.
Yep.
And Thaddeus is like, or Jesus says, "Follow me," and Thaddeus goes, "Well, where to?
Yeah.
What's the pay?" I mean, it's like, and he's like, "There's none of that." He said, he was like, you're not getting paid for anything.
Nope, no benefits.
I said, you're gonna be moving all the time.
Yep.
I mean, you don't really have a home. I mean, you're following me all day long.
Yeah.
And they followed that sacrifice up to death.
Yeah.
So it's like, if there's something out there that you do believe that much,
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make it through the hard times, then I think you're destined for greatness.
Yeah.
But you got to understand, if you're that guy that wants to move to Montana to be a rancher and you have not saved up money or any of this junk for it,
Yeah.
but you truly believe it, there's probably going to be nights where you go up there and you're sleeping in a field
Yeah.
with nothing.
Yeah.
And you just got to be
Yeah, or
have faith.
You have a truck. You're sleeping in that truck.
Yeah.
You may be sleeping in that truck for 2 or 3 years, man, before somebody really gives you the opportunity to do something. And I'll say the same thing for, like, if you want to move out west to California, you want to be a movie star. I remember walking down one of the streets in like the Hollywood area. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of the main ones, but either way, I guess it really doesn't matter because there was people all over the place. But that one in particular, I remember walking down it, and there were still people trying to hand out or sell you burnt CDs of their music.
Yeah.
Think about how old school that is.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
out there trying to peddle CDs, man. I don't even know where they had those made.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, my goodness. And it may never work out for you.
Yep.
You may grind as hard as you got. But I question, was your heart really all in?
Right, exactly.
Did you
That's the
really
thing.
give it everything you had? And if you did and it still didn't work out, can you live with that?
Yeah.
You got to ask yourself that question. Because it's not always going to work out for you. There's guys every single day who go out here and they want to be a Navy SEAL, and they don't make it.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of this, and I know we're hitting you guys with all kind of stuff, but I mean, if it boils down to, if you want it, you want it. But I do think you need to be aware of this stuff.
Yeah.
Cole, GBRS, was on
Yeah.
PBD's podcast.
Yeah.
And PBD asked him, why can nobody in the military stay married? And he said, we have one goal, and we like to be really good at that one goal. And I don't have time for any of that. So you have to understand that when you are doing that.
You know, that's something I thought about.
And if you really do, and I'm big shout out to DJ Shipley. I've never met that guy, but big shout out to him because he flat out told PBD. He said, "How'd you do it, DJ?" He said, "I found a unicorn." That's the balls to say that.
Yeah.
Because to say that I'm the exception.
Yeah.
I'm not out here trying to be leading anybody
No.
else. He said, my wife is a one of a kind.
Yeah.
And not everybody is one of a kind. That's very true.
I've heard lots of them talk about not having one of a kinds.
You got to understand that there is going to be sacrifices. There's a bunch of millionaires out there that never got to see their mom and dad before they die.
Yep.
Just how it is.
Yeah.
And if that does not value you, then it doesn't.
There's something I've been saying a lot recently. Like, whenever I go to sleep at night, am I okay or happy with the way things went that day for whatever I'm doing, right? And I haven't actually thought about it in a few days, which is ironic, but I guess it might have been last week or the week before that. I was really just thinking hard on a lot of stuff, and I thought to myself, I was laying there in bed, and I thought, I did everything I could do at work today to get the job done. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have worked any harder. Literally. I literally couldn't have done any more. I can go to sleep
It
easy.
makes you feel good.
Even if my boss comes in the next day and says, John, you're fired because you didn't get the job done, I'll tell him, I did everything within my power. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
If that's how you feel, cool, bro.
Yep.
I have no problem with you telling me that, knowing that I can sleep easy, knowing that I've done everything I could do. And that's kind of what those guys talk about. Obviously, way more extreme. Not close to even like what I do. But that's what I hear them talk about. Is like they have to be 100% focused and put everything into being a soldier.
Right.
Because it's not just their butt on the line. It's their buddies. And so you have to be all in. You can't be sitting there worried about my wife taking the kids to school and
right.
I'm missing their third grade dance. No. You can miss that when you're 50 and you're out. Because right now, I have one goal. That's
right.
it. And I'm going to execute this mission with 110% of what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means everything. That's how in they are.
Yeah.
It's their life that they're putting on the line. Literally. And so, dial that down a little bit because I'm not having to risk it all every day. Not even close. Not even close. I want to make sure that that's understood. But if you go to bed at night knowing that you did all you could do for whatever it is, like if you want to be the best dad in the world, if you went to bed and you're like, man, I tried hard to be the best dad, then you quit stressing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Because that's part of, I guess, I've dealt with a lot of stress in the recent years, more than I've ever have. And that's one of the things that I think has probably helped me recently is just, have I done everything possible to accomplish whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And like I've got one I can think of right now. I've got a mess at my house that I ain't cleaned up. And I ain't going to cap. I've contributed to it, not helped it get any smaller. I've made it bigger.
Nice.
And
nice.
It's to the point where it's a little bit out of control. Okay? It's pretty bad.
It happens.
But
you need to get that cleaned up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that as a brother.
And I was thinking about something earlier when me and you were talking about the feeling you get when you come in. And there's things that are neat and tidy. And you feel good.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, man, I'm a dirtbag for sure. I thought, I looked at a shelf at Lowe's. I should just go pick it up today is what I should do. I looked at a shelf because that's one of the things I need. I need a shelf because right now all the stuff that I have could easily be organized on a shelf. And it would clean up the floor where I've got it strode out. And so I know I laugh, but I laugh because it's my mess.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I'm looking at my own mess, and that's why like I crack up because it's laugh or cry. Nobody's fault but my own.
Right.
And so if I just took that simple step and got a freaking shelf, nothing even crazy. I'm talking about getting one from Lowe's because they're pretty inexpensive and they're pretty heavy duty.
Yeah.
Like you can get one that's pretty sturdy for cheap. Simply buying that and picking my junk up and organizing it. And this is going to sound bad. I run a warehouse. Okay. And I understand the importance of utilizing vertical space, using shelving to achieve the ability to hold more items organized.
Right.
And yet I have stuff strewn out. So I should understand better than anybody else. And yet here I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I realize that, and I need to do that and capitalize on that, and how much better I'll feel when I can walk in and it's not strode.
Here's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think on it now, and I'm anxious to get your opinion.
Come on.
How does the feeling of knowing you gave it all help you love yourself?
That's
it's an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I can give feedback on why that question popped up.
Okay.
And I think I've told you this multiple times, but let's stay on the question because this is not about me. I'm just giving my example to the question.
Yeah.
Anytime I get on an airplane,
Yes.
I think I've told you this multiple times.
Oh, I love this one.
I always think to myself, I have no fear of planes, by the way. Not at all.
Yeah.
There's no towers that big around us. But
That's all conspiracy anyway.
yeah. But I'll be on an airplane.
Yeah.
And I'll always think, what if something happens to this airplane?
Yeah.
I always think that.
Yeah.
And there used to be a mindset when I was really, really young and I got on airplanes. It was like, if something happened to this airplane, how can I save it? That was my one mindset.
Yeah.
I can land an airplane. I don't care what anybody thinks. Boeing 747 don't matter. I can
Piece
land
of
it.
cake.
Yeah, no problem. But now I think to myself, I'm like, if this plane goes down, I'm all good. I said, I'm all good. I said, I love myself. I love the big man, and every single person in my life knows that I love them.
Yeah.
If you are a person in my life, when I go to my deathbed, one thing I'm glad to sign on my certificate is, what would be the word here? Perfect attendance for love. That's like because I take a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And giving it all to the big man, because he's the one that's helped me with all this, is I have nothing to worry about. And I know there's something in giving it your all that helps you achieve that. Because I wish everybody could achieve.
Yeah.
I wish everybody could go to bed every single night and be like, dude, I love myself. I'm a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Even if I made a mistake, and everybody does. There's still times where it's like you get in bed and you're like, dude, what I did today was dumb. I mean, it was stupid.
Yeah.
But I'm like, deep down, I'm a good guy. I mean, some people might not think that. I don't really care. I think I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
And I wish everybody would get to that, but is there a way to get through that through you giving it all?
I think there is. And I think giving it your all can have such a profound impact on your day-to-day life. Who you are, what you're doing. I mean, easy example, use me as an example. Once I get this stuff cleaned up, I'll be like, and this ain't the first time this has happened. I ain't even going to lie to you. I ain't going to sit here and tell you that, like, I'm the cleanest freak ever and this is the first time my room's ever. No. It's a nasty habit, but knowing it's clean or knowing you gave it your all, let's say it's not clean, but let's say all you have in your evening is an hour, and you spend that hour instead of goofing off or being on TikTok, Instagram, doom scrolling, feeding your mind garbage. Here's an idea. Put on an audiobook, put on some music, put on whatever you want to listen to, put on a YouTube video. I don't care. Make it something, though, that's not going to pull away from your attention.
Yep.
Something you can listen to passively and focus on getting that task done. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's like if you're a dad and you're needing to spend more time with your children, tune all that out even.
Yeah.
Focus in on them. And if you gave it your all, then you can't, sure, you're going to make mistakes. And yeah, there's going to be times you're going to have shortcomings. But if the majority of the time you're giving it your all, you can go to bed and be like, yeah, there was that one time. But you know what? I'm working to be better than that.
Yeah.
And I gave it my all today, and that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
And that makes a profound impact on how you feel and how you're thinking about yourself and about, what did you call it? Your
perfect attendance of love.
yeah, that's a solid one. But no, when you first proposed the question, you said, how does that affect your...
The way you love yourself.
How does it affect the way you love
your
yourself?
Self-love, I guess you'd say.
And that's something I've been learning a lot about because I didn't realize that I wasn't loving myself, which is a hard thing to accept whenever you're a person like me who's got a slight ego. I'll admit that. And you like to, especially when people feed into it. Connor told me how smart I was the other day, and I really appreciate that, Connor. So shout out to that guy. But feeding my ego a little bit is what I call it. But there's a line between loving yourself and like being narcissistic, and like you got to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, it's easy to do something like I would have done. And let's just give an example of how giving it your all is good and not can be bad. And how one can help you love yourself and one won't. And let me start with the destructive one because I know it a little bit since I've identified this recently. Imagine I come home and I don't go in there. I avoid it. I hurry up. I just throw my key, swing the door open, throw the keys in there. You don't even turn the light on.
Right.
Because I'm pretty accurate with where I know everything's at. Throw the keys. And then you just don't worry about it. Right? And then it's time to go to bed. You walk in there and you're like, I am disgusting. This is disgusting. To have a mess like that is disgusting. Now I've called myself disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
What I've done is disgusting. So I'm just overall disgusted. And then like you wake up and you look at it and you're like, what a piece of crap. I am a piece of crap for not getting this done. What a lazy people do this. I'm lazy. This is ridiculous. Now you're disgusted, you're a piece of crap, and you're lazy in your own mind. And now let's say that cycle plays out over time, and you let it get worse. The condition of the room and your mindset.
Yeah. You start taking on that identity.
Yeah. Now you believe that is who you are, even if you're not. Even if everybody else you know, your friends and your family, and they're like, dude, you're successful. Dude, we love you. We love you, man. You're our brother, man. Oh, you're such a great guy. Man, you're so inspiring the way you do this. And then, you know what you're secretly telling yourself?
A piece of junk.
If only you knew
Yeah.
how disgusting and piece of crap I am. And that's going on in your mind. And you tell people, you're like, yeah, I appreciate you saying that, but I'm not really that good of a guy. You believe that. When you tell them that, when you tell them, dude, I'm not that good, trust me. If you only knew. And like using that example, like in the grand scheme, yeah, it doesn't sound that bad, but when you get to the negative space, so you believe it so deeply that you're not a good person just because of that.
Yeah.
Like that's who you are. And it's hard to dig your way out sometimes of not only where you're at, but those habits of telling yourself what a bad person you are. And I mean, that can go on a whole spectrum. But then let's go to the opposite side because I could keep going on that one. Let's go to the opposite. Let's say you just, dude, start with how do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time.
Right.
I genuinely do not care how, like, try to make it a significant amount to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say all you have is 5 minutes. Or that's all you're willing to give it energy. It's 5 minutes of your energy and time. Okay? I don't care what it is. Let's say it's the room, because I'm using that example a lot right now. You go in there, you do 5 minutes of cleaning a day. Serious cleaning. Go in there, focus. Clean hard for 5 minutes on whatever it is. Hanging up laundry. Organizing whatever it is you have. I've got a lot of hats, okay, that I'm not wearing right now. I've kind of collected some really cool ones over the years and stuff. Organize them. Mm-hmm. Buy a shelf. Build a shelf. You know, that may take more than 5 minutes, but put the time, get it built. Don't even put anything on it. Just take that win. Accept the fact that, man, I built that shelf, and you know what? Tomorrow, when I get home, I'm going to put those hats up, and we're going to look 1% better in this room. And go to bed knowing that if that's all you're willing to put effort in, and that's your all, is 5 minutes, or building that shelf, and that's as far as you're going to go for that day, you're going to go to bed happier, being like, dude, I gave it my all. Because, like, and that's why I say set those boundaries, because my all and your all may be different.
Right.
And so whatever your all in is, and people, you know, if they want to hate, then maybe you're talking to the wrong person. That's and right. Quit talking to them about that.
That's right.
I could come to this guy tomorrow and tell him about my room, even though he knows how much energy I've got to put in, and tell him if I came in and I told him I gave it my all, and I'm 25% of the way there. Like, that's all I had. All I had was an hour. I got home at 9. I cleaned from 9 to 10, which then that's a whole different topic because of my own personal habits that he's aware of. But
he needs to go to sleep.
But I come in and I'm like, I gave it my all.
Yeah.
I cleaned for an hour when I got home, man. I left here. I raced to the house. I drove the speed limit to the house.
Yeah.
If you know me personally, yeah. Then and it's like, I gave it my all. He's not going to, because we're friends, I may get a different answer. But even if he did come back to me and was like, dude, did you really give it your all? I know it's because he's coming from a place of love.
That's right.
Okay? Because he freaking cares about what I'm doing.
That's right.
And not so much that he cares that I'm cleaning my room, but he knows I'm better than that. And that he knows that he knows I hold myself to a higher standard. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Think about the standard I hold myself to when we go and train.
Right.
Now think, is that the same guy that would let that happen? No.
Right.
So why are you letting it happen? Okay. Back to the point at hand. So if you're giving it your all, okay, and you are now creating this different mindset.
Yep.
No longer you're going to go home if you gave it your all and lay in bed and say, I'm disgusting. I'm a piece of crap. I'm lazy. Whew. Man, I'm tired. Yep. I earned going to sleep tonight, which that's a different, I earned it. Because you don't let yourself get the big head, because not everything you do earn.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that you didn't earn. All
Right.
right. And you need to put in more work. But for the general populace, I'm in that boat. I'm part of the regular populace. I've accepted that.
Right.
That, some people tell me, depending on what aspect of my life, maybe I'm a little bit above average in certain areas. I don't agree with that.
7 inches.
I think I'm a pretty standard guy. Not even give that any attention.
Yep. Somebody will one day.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Shout out to you if you're watching this.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get a hold of me
by 7 inches.
If you're looking for a date, not because of what he said, because of my personality, how cool I am. Yeah.
Both start with a P. We're good.
This dude just firing him off today.
But no,
But you see what I'm saying?
Oh, a thousand.
That is 100%. If you come to me and you tell me that there's no way that you giving it your all is going to build up your self-love, I'm going to call you a liar right to your face.
Yeah, you should.
So anybody that's willing to do that, come at me, bro, and let's set you up a plan about how you can give it your all.
Yep.
And you tell me.
Yep. The one thing I'll leave with is a really good story, and I think I told it at work one time.
Yeah.
And it was about, and I might have already actually, if I already said it on here, just go ahead and cut me off. But it was about two friends, and one friend was in a really, really low place to where he was thinking of.
You did tell with the working out?
Did I already tell this on here?
Yep.
Okay. So I don't know what episode that was on, but essentially all the story is, I don't want to tell the whole story again, is like he said, if you truly give it your all in everything, that's a success no matter what.
Yep.
Because I would guarantee you beat yourself more than you did last time.
Yeah.
If you picked up 10 items in 10 minutes when you cleaned your room, and the next time you did 11, that's a success. And that's almost guaranteed to happen if you try your hardest no matter what. So I think you the podcast is coming to the end time, but I think you left with the perfect the thing that people can run with. So guys, I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Please hit us up in those comments. I'd really love to see it. We know that we've been a little bit off on scheduling.
Yeah, I was about to say sorry about that to everybody that looked for one Wednesday, but
we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working with our schedule, trying to make sure that we're providing y'all with good content on time.
Yep.
So we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. See you on the next one.
Yep. Later, guys. We're out.